Welcome to Unity of Charlotte, where our mission is to nurture a deep and mature experience of God through the practice of unity principles. Simply put, we are here to love, grow, and serve. I'm Reverend Pat Dre, and I am so glad that you are here to join us here at Unity today with Reverend Sally. And let's start today's service by sharing our statement of oneness, and let that lead us into our opening prayer. There's one presence and one power in my life, in the universe. God, the good omnipotence. And prepare yourself by taking a deep breath and letting it go. Know with me as I speak these words today. I am centered in the life force that surrounds me. This force is the essence of me and everything in the universe. I know that I am blessed with a powerful connection to Source. I pause to notice on a deeper level. All around me, I see beauty. And while this is a time of a lot of changes and difficult circumstances and challenges, I recognize this as well, that this is a time of opportunity. Opportunity for me, opportunity for the planet on the spiritual journey. And these difficulties have reminded me that this is a time of reawakening. Yes, for me, but for all of humankind. I breathe in deeply, knowing that I breathe in life itself. With each breath, I am energized, revitalized. My respirations are slow and easy. And with each, my energy grows. Just as God is the source of my life, the source of my good, the source of love, of abundance, God is the source of the energy that fuels me in this and every moment. This is God's gift to me, so I drink in life more deeply. I enjoy this moment of existence. Glad to be alive. Glad to be aware. Glad to know that Source is this beginning of all energy, the source from which it emanates. I know that this day is already complete in love, and love of the divine that flows in and through me. And I know this as I know that my contribution to this world this day expresses ever so greatly in the love of the divine. And this is already for sure. I send out love to my friends, my family, to my community, to the church. And I send love especially to those who have been affected by this pandemic, who have been affected by loss, by grieving the loss of those who are no longer on this plane, grieving the loss of decades, of hundreds of years of injustice. People who have faced hatred, people who have faced the difficulties of being perceived as different or less than. For it is not true. It is not true. And I stand with them, and I stand with all in life, in love, and with justice. I'm ever so grateful to be part of this church, of the Unity family. the support on my spiritual path, which grows over time because of my willingness, because of my engagement, because it prospers me, and because I share that growing prosperity with all of life and with my community. And I am ever so grateful for the blessings of this lifetime. And this is a message I carry in my heart today, and in moments of joy and in moments of difficulty, that I am truly, truly blessed. I release this idea knowing that it is all true. It is all true. And I rejoice in it. And join with me in saying, and so it is. Amen. Thank you again for being with us this morning. Thank you for those who have joined us on Zoom. It's a nice group this morning. We open our Zoom link before church and leave it open afterwards so that we can experience the community of this church and share with each other and like chat and sharing what's good in our lives and saying hello to people. Our connection is just as strong now as it has ever been. Stronger even as we face life in this interesting times. For those of us joining us on YouTube, we welcome you to subscribe and also to like, and that helps other people find us on the web. And we do look forward to being together in person soon, as soon as it is possible. And if anyone you know is in need of prayer, please reach out to us. It is our joy, it is our service to provide you with prayer and support for anything in your life that you wish to manifest. If it's difficulty, it can be resolved with prayer. If it's joy that you want to grow greater, this too is something we provide in prayer. So reach out to us, and the best way to do that, it's not the only way, but is to reach out through the link on the Unity website. And always available to you, because you are part of the Unity family, is to seek out the prayer ministry at Silent Unity anytime, day or night. So if you wake up at 3 o'clock and you say, hey, I've got a great idea, reach out to Silent Unity. They're always there for you. 800-NOW-PRAY, NOW-PRAY, for personal affirmative prayer. So we're with you here. We're with you at Silent Unity. All it takes is to reach out, and we're there for you. We have several announcements. The first one is that we have had 3 showings of our property since our community decision to sell the property, step forward in prosperity. We are always on the path of prosperity. 3 showings and 2 re-showings. So this is good and very good. And also some other positive interest in the flow. So continue to pray for the Unity prosperity as it is growing at this time, at this very interesting time as we are on this part of the journey. Also know that Reverend Jim is starting a new class in the Course in Miracles, and it is starting, I believe, the second week in September. There are 2 classes, one weekend class and one evening class. Reach out to Reverend Jim about the details. He also has a very nice video explaining the beginnings of Course in Miracles, how it started, which even if you're familiar with Course in Miracles, you'll probably find it very interesting. So reach out to Reverend Jim for that information. It will be up on our website very soon. We also have the book club, which meets today after service at 1 p.m. That is another opportunity. And stay tuned as our fall opportunities to enhance your movement on your spiritual path will be announced in the near future. I now welcome our beloved Reverend Sally to join us now for talk and to start us out with our monthly affirmation. Thank you so much, Reverend Sally, for being with us.
Welcome. Thank you, Reverend Pat, for that lovely introduction and for your setting the tone for our service this morning. And so I'm going to pull up our affirmation. This is the last time we will be using the August affirmation. Can you believe that we're already almost in September? Where did the month go? But here is our August affirmation. So if you would just read it with me. Abundant grace. The grace of God is with me always. As a beloved creation of a loving Creator, I am always enfolded in God's grace. Unexpected goodness and blessings are my constant companions. The grace of God is with me always. And I know that we will have a brand new one next September, or next month for September. And I love that we are always moving forward. There's wonderful activity here in our community. And I know people have told me that they've actually taken pictures of this slide so that they can refer back to it during the month. So we're always here to serve. So I'm going to move into my message this morning, which is catch the love bug. Catch the love bug. So I would invite you, if you're not already, if you see in the top right corner of your Zoom window, if it says gallery view, then that's fine. But if it says speaker view, I want you to click on speaker view, because that will give you an enhanced view of this, because I'll be sharing my slides with you. And I want to make sure that you are keeping up with what is going on here. So I'm going to move to the full slide here. So catch the love bug. Well, we're right in the midst of a pandemic, right? 2020, a year that we will never forget, and a year that I think will go on the books in a lot of ways. Would you agree? And because we're also very conscious of, are we washing our hands? Are we making sure that we are not spreading disease? We're wearing our masks. I started thinking this week about, we're being very conscious about not spreading the coronavirus. But there is a virus that I really would like to spread a whole lot more. And I want to share that with you this morning. What if we shared the love virus? What if we all became love bugs and went out into the world with the conscious intention, not unconscious, conscious intention of being an absolute blessing to this world and vehicles of God's love? So that's what I'm going to explore this morning. How in the midst of all of the change that is going on our planet, we have an election coming up, there's strife in the political parties, there's the pandemic, there's racial unrest, there's all kinds of things that are coming to the foreground. And you know what? It's coming there for healing. It's coming up to the light for healing. And you and I have agreed at some level that if we're on this planet, that we can participate in that healing simply by showing up as love and kindness and compassion and all the God qualities that we choose to be. So let's take a look at that this morning. How can I really make sure that I'm centered in that role of being love in the midst of all of these things that sometimes are telling me that I'm anything but love? That's where I want us. How do we anchor into that deep-seated knowingness that the God within us is absolutely showing up as us, as God, as love? So I want to start with a story, because you know how I love stories. First of all, love bugs let go of judgment. That's how we're going to be a love bug in this world. We're going to let go of judgment. I'm going to tell you a story that comes from Ram Dass, who made his transition last year in December, a wonderful modern mystic. He wrote the classic Be Here Now. And then I think his follow-up to that many years later was I'm Here Now, or something to that effect. Anyway, you can find it on Amazon. And he made a real impact on our world. But this story is one of my favorites of his. And he's talking about trees. A tree very much like this. Now, this is on the West Coast. If you travel to the West Coast, you've seen trees like this, where the wind is literally coming off of the ocean, of the body of water or the plain, whatever, and it's literally bent the tree over as in response to the climate around it. So this is what Ram Dass has to say about this. He says, when you go out into the woods and you look at trees, you see all these different trees. And some of them are bent, and some of them are straight, and some of them are evergreens, and some of them are whatever. And you look at the tree and you allow it. You appreciate it. You see why it is the way it is. You sort of understand that it didn't get enough light, or it didn't get enough of the nourishment that it needed. So it turned out that way. And you don't get all emotional about it. You just allow it. You appreciate the tree for exactly the way it is. Now, he goes on to say this: the minute you get near humans, you lose all that. And you're constantly saying, you're to this, or I'm to this. That judging mind comes in. So he says this: I practice turning people into trees, which means appreciating them just the way they are. Isn't that beautiful? And I think about that very often, where I tend to have such a rush to judgment. And when you show up as love, judgment goes out the window. Judgment is the actual block to expressing love. And so as I'm showing up as love, I'm accepting. I'm not tolerating. I'm accepting people for exactly where they're at. And that includes myself. That's the hardest one, isn't it? We are great sometimes at accepting others. Not so great about accepting ourselves. And I am in that club right there. So this is a constant reminder. If I can see that in the beauty of nature, the handiwork of God in nature, then I can certainly see that within myself, and I can see that within others. So I'm greatly appreciative of Ram's perspective on that, because we have to understand that judgment is simply the barrier to where we really want to be in showing up in life. And it's not just judgment about things or even people. It's judgment about experiences sometimes. And I want to just reference, do you remember Herbie the Love Bug? Remember that? It was like in the late 60s. It was a very popular movie, spawned about, 1,800 sequels. I mean, there were all kinds of sequels that they did on this because it was so popular. Well, this is my very first car. I had a 1969 Volkswagen Beetle. I loved that car, just absolutely loved it. It was, maybe 11, 15 years old by the time I got it. And I look at it now and it looks so old-fashioned, but I adored that car. And it was, I bought it in my freshman year in college, and I tooled around in that thing. I just had a blast. I remember that the heater in that car, those of you who've owned a Volkswagen back in that era will be a testament to this with me, that the heater in that car was two bars that you kind of raised up. So it was off or on, and all that did was let the heat of the engine into the compartment of the car. So if you were in a cold environment, you had two choices. You had freezing or blasting hot. That was it. But that was what it was. It was wonderful, wonderful to just tool around in that car. Well, I decided that, I was going to junior college. They call it now community college. But I went to my freshman and sophomore year at the junior college to save up money to go to my third year of college, which I knew would be going away. And I was looking and looking at colleges and decided, I think I really want to go to University of North Carolina at Chapel Hill. It was very highly rated in the television and broadcasting, which is what my major was. And I thought, that looks so beautiful. And so I went up and I visited the campus and I got so excited, and they showed me around and I looked at dorms, and it was exciting. And I bought a sticker, a Carolina sticker, that I put on the back of that vehicle. I put on the back of my VW Bug. And I drove around for the next year, because I made that decision. And like my sophomore year, I was going to move there in my junior year. And I was ready to go to University of North Carolina. And I applied, and then I applied for the dorm. And I got a dorm room. I was so excited. I got the letter, I got the dorm room. And then I got a letter saying I didn't get into the University of North Carolina. I was devastated. I had like a 3.8 GPA, and was in the top 20 of my class. And I thought, that's really strange. I was shocked. But I found that the University of North Carolina, at least at that time, maybe they still do today, only allow 15% of non-residents in. So it's a much smaller cut, to get into the college. Well, I was just floored. I had spent a whole year. I'd driven around in my car with that Carolina sticker on it. I was just determined, wait a minute, I've made plans. But that's where I had to let go of the judgment. I had to let go of the idea that this was only way for me to get a college education. And so I ended up going to my second choice, and this is what my car looked like when I moved there. I went to the University of Wisconsin, which was a very different experience. This was in the wintertime in the front of my apartment. Had to dig out quite a few feet of snow that year, but it turned out to be the perfect thing for me. It was a fabulous opportunity for me to grow in my education and grow. I was working at the local television station there. It really was the very best thing. So sometimes when a no shows up in our lives, if we're a love bug, we got to let that go and know that the greater yes is right around the corner, as it was for me in 1978. So I moved up there, had a wonderful experience at the University of Wisconsin. Very different, but different was good. Some of the best adventures we have in life come from the detours that we are unexpectedly taking. We're planning to go in one direction, and all of a sudden life veers us off in that direction. Turns out to be the best thing that ever happened. Well, hindsight's always 20/20. But when you're in the midst of it, are you willing to let go of any judgment around what has to be? Because sometimes we let our good get in the way of our better. And so I encourage you this week, where are you letting your good get in the way of your better? Where have you gotten comfortable? Where have you thought, yeah, this is the way it is? What if you let go of any judgment, good, bad, or indifferent, and said, I am an open vessel to be used for good in God's world here today? Be careful when you pray that prayer, because you are opening yourself up to a greater experience of God, which can absolutely transform your life. So let go of judgment. That's what love bugs do. That's what love bugs do. So love bugs also know this, that you get a do-over. You get a do-over. Now, do-overs are good. Do-overs mean that we can say, that didn't work, because life is a constant feedback mechanism. It's always giving us feedback as to what is working and what is not working in our lives. So I want to show you, well, first of all, before I show you anything, do you know that the #1 cosmetic surgery in the country today is tattoo removal? And there's a reason for that, because I'm about to show you some people that desperately need a do-over with their tattoos. Let me show you this first one. Apparently they did not have spell check at the tattoo parlor. No dream is T-O big. This next one, never don't give up. I don't think they realized that, isn't it 2 negatives make a positive? So someone messed up a little bit there. I love this one. That which does not kill me makes me stronger. So I don't know which she's talking about, but I don't think that's what she is intending there. This one, I just have no explanation for how bad it is. Bonus points for you if you know the Lionel Richie song that this is referring to, and why they're making him into Waldo just makes no sense. But then this final one here, these two friends decided to take a picture of themselves and then have a tattoo made. I think they need their money back. So these people desperately need a do-over because it's not what they intended for it to be. Or maybe it is, and I should let go of my judgment. But do-overs are a fantastic way because Ian Van Zandt says, life gives us an endless supply of do-overs. And that's the truth. That's the truth. We're always in that place of knowing that if I've made a mistake, and first of all, I don't believe you can make a mistake, that every decision that you make is simply giving you information. And if that information is try again, that's okay. That's not failure. That's not letting something get in the way. It's allowing yourself to take that information in, and you get the do-over. So the endless supply of do-overs that Iyanla is talking about here is something that is very easy to forget, is it not? It's very easy to forget. So I'd like you to think about this. What if the biggest thing that you were known for is the worst mistake you've ever made? And what I mean by that is those who are in prison sometimes are labeled felon for murder, whatever the charge is. And then that goes with them for the rest of their lives. I speak of this because when I was in Phoenix, I was a part of the prison ministry of the New Thought Church that was there. And I went to the prison on a regular basis. And I got to know the inmates who were really trying to make a difference in their lives and turn their lives around because they found that they'd made some mistakes. And what a privilege and an honor that was for me to work with inmates who just had a dream of being again in society and not having to live up to a mistake they made decades ago. And a friend of mine asked me, why do you even want to do that kind of work? What would be of any interest in going into a prison? It's got to be the most depressing place ever. And I said to her, the reason I do this is because I get to practice seeing the divine in everyone, no matter what they've done, no matter who they are. And I seriously meant that when I sat down one day with a serial killer who talked to me and told me about his life. It gave me a perspective of knowing him not as that label serial killer. It gave me a chance to see him as the divine being that he is. And the chance to go, here's someone who's trying to turn the corner on mistakes that he has made. He needs a do-over, and he wants a do-over. And it's incumbent upon me to recognize within him the good that is there. Good that is solidly a part of who he is. He's a loving, spiritual being trying to make his way on the planet, just like the rest of us. He just happens to have a bigger mistake than most of us. So when I look at that opportunity to see the divine in everyone, it's easy to see the divine in those that we love. It's easy to see the divine in those that come and go in our world, that there's no conflict. They're pretty much the same as we are. Practice. Love bugs practices all the time. Finding the divine in those who are not expressing the divine back towards you. Maybe there's someone who's not being very skilled in loving you and showing you love and kindness. That's the perfect example of how a love bug would step up and love anyway. I'm not talking about being a doormat. I'm talking about accepting that everyone on this path is doing the very best they can, to the very best of their ability. Can we step up and love them right where they're at and accept them where they're at. That's why I love that love bugs get a do-over. They get a do-over. And also, love is a decision. Love bugs know that. It's not just a verb, it's a noun. It's a chance for us to really decide, how am I going to be in this world? I'm going to tell you a story about a man who grew up in Australia, and in 2004, he was flying home to Australia after a really bad breakup with his fiance. He was devastated. His name is Juan Mann, and he was flying home in 2004 just beside himself because he thought that he was going to spend the rest of his life with this woman that he loved dearly. And it didn't occur to him until he got to Australia just how depressed he was getting. So he went to a party soon after that, and during that party, a stranger came up to him and said, "You look like you need a hug." And so gave him a hug. Alan, we're getting some feedback here, so I'm going to just put that out there to you. So he got this hug, and he felt so much better. He felt so much better. So as he processed that, he's like, "But boy, if a hug can make me feel that better, I wonder if I could give other people hugs." So that very next day, he went out to the largest mall in Sydney, and he held up a sign that looked like this: "Free hugs." And he held up this sign, and sure enough, people walked past him thinking, who is this guy and what is he doing? For about 15 minutes, and he's starting to think, wow, maybe this wasn't such a great idea. But pretty soon, this woman walked up, and she walked up to him after seeing his sign and said, "I just had to put my dog to sleep this morning, and this is the 1-year anniversary of losing my daughter. I really could use a hug." So of course he gave her a hug, and at that point the tide shifted, and all of a sudden people started coming up. They started asking for hugs, they started accepting hugs, and a whole wave started, not just there in Sydney, but pretty soon the word was getting out, and people were hugging all over the place. The people started holding up these free hug signs. So one day, while he was hugging people, he met Shimon Moore, who became a good friend and a housemate. And Moore began taking videos of Juan while he was out doing these hugs. And but then he left it because he had to go to Los Angeles to record some music with his band. So soon after that, a DVD arrived back in Australia for Juan that showed the compilation. They'd taken all of the hug videos and they put it to the song that Shimon and his band had put together. Also in this DVD was a letter from Moore's manager that said, "Here's a contract. Would you please sign it so that we can use the video of your hugs in our video?" And so Juan signed it thinking, well, of course, if there's any compensation made from this, that he would share in it. Well, Moore uploaded the video and it went viral. It went viral, like, very quickly. The free hug movement started spreading across the world, and groups like this started showing up and just offering free hugs all over the place. It really was an idea for its time. And it had started with Juan. And then people were buying T-shirts and, all kinds of paraphernalia through this video that really the band owned, and the band was keeping all of the money, and Juan wasn't getting any percentage of that. So this video, which was aired like over 80 million times, caught the eye of Oprah, and he goes on Oprah. And he explained that even though he'd never received any money from the band, he realized that his friend had let him down and really kind of cheated him. But what does a love bug like Juan Mann do? He just shrugs it off. And he's now a professional speaker. He goes around talking about this experience. And this free hug campaign, which has become even larger of a movement, he knows that the law of circulation is always there. What you put out is always what comes back to you. So the idea that I love about this is that if Juan had decided to hold on to that resentment, that anger, that frustration, that would have been another barrier to this movement of love that he had created. Instead, he decided that the world is always compensating us. It's always compensating us. If not in this moment for the effort that we're putting in, it is coming. It is on its way. That is the law of compensation. Ralph Waldo Emerson said, the dice of God are always loaded. And that means that whatever I put out is going to be coming back to me. He understood that law. So when Juan said, you know what, I'm just not even going to think about this any longer. Who knows what the name of that band is? Who knows what the song is? The free hug movement is still here and thriving and kicking, and Juan is a force to be reckoned with because he's a love bug. You see, when we don't resolve, we talk about taking personal responsibility for pain that comes our way that's completely out of our control. He had no control over that of what happened to him, but he had control of how he responded to it. And so as he responded to it and he healed that issue with him and deciding to let go and forgive from a very deep level, he did his inner work. He now had closed the loop, because this is also the truth, that pain that is not transformed is transmitted. Pain that is not transformed is transmitted. And you and I see that every single day. If we are not taking personal responsibility for the wounds within us, for those deep resentments and lingering anger, whatever is going on within us, if we don't take responsibility and clear it out and be the clear, then that's where we get into trouble. Because then it has to come out and then it's transmitted onto somebody else, some other unknowing person that has nothing to do with the origin of the wound. Does that make sense? So I take full responsibility for the pain that not only that I create, but the pain that I have taken on in some role, not as a victim, but something that happened to me along the way. I take responsibility for cleaning up my own issues around that pain, because I never want to transmit it in any way to any unsuspecting person in my world, especially those that I love. That's what being a true love bug is all about, is understanding that as we move into deciding to be love is a decision, then we are absolutely in alignment with God and how we are to live in this world. We are a clear vessel that no one and no thing can come between us and our God and the purpose of us showing up as love in this world. So the next thing that love bugs know is that you are sacred. Be in integrity. Be in integrity. What I mean by that is, many years ago, Reverend Michael Beckwith, in the minister of the Agape International Center of Truth, he always had an annual event called Revelation, and I went to it several times. And when I was there the last time, which was many years ago, they have a vendor area where the vendors were selling things, and I was just kind of looking around, and I saw this really wonderful little ceramic pot that had a dragonfly, and I love dragonflies. And so I picked it up and I was looking at it, and I decided to buy it. And this lovely young woman was selling it and had made all of the wares that she had there. And so I said to her, well, here's my card. And she goes, we're in the basement of the hotel, and it's really hard to, to run the card reader here. I said, well, I can give you a check if that's, and she said, sure, that'd be great. So I'm writing out the check, and I handed it to her, and I said, do you want to see my ID? Because I figured she'd want to make sure that I was who I said I was on the check. And she goes, oh no, honey. She goes, that if this check bounces, that's on you. That's karma. Karma will take care of all of that. And she understood at a really wonderful level that again, if you are in integrity, we know that we can't do anything to anyone else. It always is in reciprocal. It always comes back. The reciprocity is there. So if I steal, I'm only stealing from myself. If I lie, I'm only lying to myself. And so that's the real meaning of the 10 Commandments. I understand that being integrity is being in alignment with who I am as a spiritual being on this planet. And so it is my intention to stay as high and in alignment with that God sense, that sense of who I am, because anything I put out there comes right back to me. So I love that love bugs are in integrity, and they're very conscious about that. Ernest Holmes, the founder of Center for Spiritual Living, said this: I realize that the circle of love cannot be complete if there is any place where it is clogged. Therefore, I freely let go of everything which contradicts the nature of love. There is no bondage in my love, nor any sense of proprietorship. I have no jealousy or envy, for I know that love establishes me, upholds and supports me, guides and directs my pathway. So what does he mean when he says, I don't want there any place to be clogged? What he means by that is, where is unforgiveness still living in me? That's a clog. Where is resentment still buried deep within my body somewhere over something that happened decades ago? That's what I mean by clog. And us staying in that flow, that alignment of deep and abiding spiritual love coming straight from and through me from God, that's where I want to be. There's no clog, there's no congestion in that. And that takes work and effort, because we are spiritual beings having a human experience on this planet. And so we are constantly up against all of these ideas that we know in our heads, but until we embody them, we don't know what we don't know. That's where the rubber meets the road, my friends. That's where we've got to show up and not just spout the principles that we know. We've got to live this. This is practical spirituality. That's what I love about unity. That's what I love about New Thought. It's practical spirituality. It's not just, oh, I know this stuff, and here I can quote it scripture and verse. This is doing it. This is living it at the highest level we possibly can. I'm going to read a little bit here from Letters from the Scattered Brotherhood. And this was written back in 1948. It's one of my favorite spiritual books. And it actually is a compilation of spiritual writings. And the editor, Mary Strong, has in the front of the book how there was a publication back during the 40s where it was a weekly publication that had spiritual ideas, and they put them all together here. They did not, it's all anonymous. They did not put the names of who wrote it, but there's just real gems in here. And so this comes from page 88, and the person who wrote this said, "This is a time for rededication. It is a time to live at your spiritual height. Lay down anxiety, lay down impatience, lay down frustration, clear the heart, and seek ye first the kingdom. I cannot tell you how to take yourselves in hand, for that mental and spiritual discipline is the part a man must play for himself in seeking the kingdom. Be like the iceberg, which is 7/10 underwater. When you learn that 7/10 of you must be still and calm and in control, while 3/10 of you will be in the active life up above the water, you will have some conception of the grandeur of the attempt you are making. You cannot afford to take umbrage, to have prejudices, nor hold yourself these violent human emotions which flare up in human contacts. Let them go and dwell in the source of all love, infinite love." And he completes by saying, "Prepare yourselves to be the sons and daughters of God. Rise to your full height and live most of your life in spirit while in the material world." And isn't that what we're all here to do? to learn how to live, to be in this world, but not of this world. We have one foot here on the planet, and yet one foot firmly entrenched, aligned with God, and what we know is the spiritual truth of ourselves. That's always the pull and tug that is going on in our world. So who wants to be a love bug? Raise your hands. Raise your hands. Come on. I can see some of you. Raise your hands if you're ready to be a love bug. This is what I want us to really focus on this week. Who wants to step up and say, I'm ready. I'm ready. So I'm going to stop. You know how much I love my stories. And so I'm going to stop with a story about something that happened in Billings, Montana. Now, it happened several years ago, actually in the early 90s it started. In Billings, Montana, it happens to be in an area which right around early 90s, the white Aryan race decided that was going to be part of their homeland. Billings was not happy about that, but these people moved in. And in 1993, something happened that really changed everything. In 1993, it was around Christmas time in December, and all of a sudden, something happened where someone threw a cinder block, big cinder block, through a window of a home where it was a home of a Jewish family, and the window happened to be of the bedroom of a 5-year-old boy. And he had decorated that window with a drawing of a menorah. And he had simply put it up there to decorate, to celebrate Hanukkah. The intolerance of some of those that had moved into that area decided that they didn't want that menorah up there. And so they crashed that cinder block through the window. Well, the police advised Jewish families now, because they saw that this was a trend happening, they advised Jewish families to take down their Hanukkah decorations. We'll talk about bah humbug. But something else happened. Something else happened. A few of the Billings residents who heard about this, they had a different idea. They decided, you know what? We're going to go ahead and we're going to put up menorahs too. So in addition to their, reindeer on the lawn and Santa Claus and the manger scenes and everything else that they had, if they were not Jewish, they put up a menorah, and they put the menorah up on, their windows. The Billings, Montana newspaper actually ran a giant menorah drawing that kids could color, and they started distributing pictures of the menorah that people then were putting up. Well, now initially the hate crimes went up because those that did not want that were trying to tear all that down. But that only encouraged even more residents to jump on board. So more and more started putting them up. And pretty soon the entire Billings area became, known because they were showing up with all these menorahs all over the place. Well, that stopped everything, because the people who were behind the hate crimes realized they couldn't win. They couldn't win. So when people band together to stand and say, this isn't happening in our town, this isn't going to happen on my watch, because I'm the essence of love, and I'm going to not just tolerate, but accept all for where they're at and allow people to be exactly who they are. That's the kind of place that I want to be, and that's the kind of town I want to live in. Billings gave us a wonderful example. We are still seeing racial issues. It just boggles our mind that we haven't moved further along in that regard. So it's going to take the love essence that you are. It's going to take the love essence that I am, and the millions of us out there on the planet, because we know that love is love, and that love conquers all, and that when we show up and exude that wonderful essence of love, that all else falls away. It may take some time. We might run into a few people that are going to throw a cinder block in our plans. That's okay. That's when we come together. We decide together, like we do here in Spiritual Community at Unity of Charlotte, that we are here to be a symbol of love, and that shows up wherever we go and however we show up in our world. So I invite you this week, how will you be a love bug? How will you be an integrity? How will you decide that love is your decision? This is one of the greatest opportunities we have with what is going on in our world to make that decision. It's the most powerful time in our world to make that decision, because the impact that we make is going to last for an eternity. You do not discount how much impact you can have in this world. Do not discount the level of love that can come from you and change the world. Do not discount the prayers and meditation that you are putting in, your spiritual practices that are changing the world right now. You are transforming the world by transforming yourself. That's the essence of what Jesus and the other great way showers have taught us. It starts here. Seek ye first the kingdom, and all else will be added unto you. So let's take that within as we pray our way into the next part of our service. Father, Mother God, the indwelling presence within me, I know that all is unfolding exactly as it should in my world, and that despite outer strife that may appear, I know that I am a powerful force for good on this planet. I know that I am simply tuning into that vibration, that frequency of love that is so high. And as I do that, I give others permission in my world to do the same. And pretty soon, the love bugs are catching on, and that we are standing firmly aligned, hand in hand, ready to take on whatever comes our way. We stand in integrity. We stand in love. We let go of resentment. We let go of anything that is standing in our way. And so I simply allow Spirit to have its way with us this week and gently show us throughout the week, how can I show up in love? How can I be a better example of love in my world? Knowing that as I do so, that it impacts everyone within the range of my being, and across the world, completely on the opposite side, my frequency is having an impact. Oh, it is just so good. So let's take a deep breath in and let it out. We process that we are here to be instruments of good. Mother Teresa said, I am simply the instrument, the pencil, and the hand of God. And so I know that we are writing a new story this week, a story of love, a story of hope, a story of power. And I simply say thank you, God, for the opportunity to be that vessel, for the opportunity to direct my intentions and my support, knowing that as I come into alignment with my God, that all else is added unto me. I give great thanks for the opportunity to be of service this morning, to be in community with my sisters and brothers, and to know that we are all in this together. For this and so much more, I'm eternally grateful. And so I simply say thank you, God. I let it be so. And together we say, and so it is. Amen. All right. So now we move into our time of sharing. This is our opportunity to move into that place of giving back, that law of moving into I am here and I am a part of something that is even greater than me. And so I invite you, if you have been touched by what you have heard today, if this has moved you, that you've been fed in some way through our service this morning, that we have a couple of ways that you can give back to us. And one of those is if my slide will change. There we go. Here's our address if you'd like to send a check. But the most convenient way is with unityofcharlotte.org. You just go on there. We have a very safe and convenient way for you to give and to get your flow into the circulation through us, knowing that you are doing a mighty work by supporting Unity of Charlotte. So I invite you, just all you have to do is go onto our homepage. You can see donate and just click on that. And it's a safe and convenient way for you to be a part of this wonderful work. All right, so if you have a check, actually let's say our prosperity blessing. If you have a check or if you know that you're going to be going online, let's just hold that check to our heart or hold your heart right now. Let's say this blessing together. Joyously, I give this gift, knowing the divine presence blesses and multiplies all that I am, all that I have, all that I give, and all that I receive. Thank you, God. All right. I'm so grateful that we've had a chance to spend our Sunday morning together. I know that you have many options out there, so thank you for choosing to spend time with us today. We're going to close, as we always do, with our prayer of protection. So let's say this together. The light of God surrounds us. The love of God enfolds us. The power of God protects us. The presence of God watches over us. Wherever we are, God is, and all is well. Thank you again for joining us this morning. If you'd like to stay on for a little bit, the Zoom room will stay open where we can connect and say hello. And I'm just grateful that you are here, and namaste. Have a wonderful week being a love bug.